Video is visible now?
Yes, sir. Video is visible, but PPT is not visible, sir.
PPT is not visible.
PPT, yes.
How do I get it back?
So can you make PPT wider so that we have larger font?
Sure. Is it fine now? Showing?
Yeah, it's coming.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Namaskar.
Good
I am
afternoon.
Dr. S.K. Gupta. I am a postgraduate in commerce, a cost accountant, a company secretary with a PhD in corporate governance. I have spent over 40 years in industry so far, in both public and private sector organizations, in the domains of finance, internal audit, legal, costing, and company secretarial profiles. Currently, I am the Chief Executive Officer of IPA of Institute of Cost Accountants of India, that is Insolvency Professional Agency, similar company to that we have as RBO. I am currently the Chief Executive Officer of IPA of Institute of Cost Accountants of India. I've been addressing these training programs ever since they were started 2 years back by RBO. And I'm also associated with some other RBOs and IPS for delivering lectures on various topics. I have addressed over 400 national and international seminars and conferences on various themes. I have published over 150 articles and research papers, which have been published in various professional journals. It is my pleasure to be assigned this task of handling a session on microeconomics for you all today afternoon. Welcome, good afternoon, namaskar. Before we begin with the discourse on microeconomics, let's first get a handle. Let's get first to understand basically what economics is all about. Well, to begin with, let me tell you right in the beginning that I understand that you are from a different field altogether. Maybe some of you or many of you might not have studied economics as a formal subject, as a formal discipline, as part of your educational course. But nonetheless, you'll be surprised to know as we move forward in this session that this is basically common sense, nothing else, which we practice day in and day out, both in our personal life as well as our professional life. Economics is so general and so basic, so germane to anything and everything that we do, that we practice and deal with economic concepts day in and day out, both in our personal as well as professional life. To put it in a proper perspective, economics is a subject or a discipline which deals with optimal utilization of available resources. Optimal utilization of available resources. The four-word sentence kind of thing. But then it has a lot of things to explain, a lot of things imbibed within this four-letter word. First, we have to understand what kind of resources are we talking about. We're looking at resources in terms of human resources, that is men. We're looking at machines. We're looking at tools. We're looking at money, of course. We're looking at management as a resource. We're looking at markets, because markets are what provide an opportunity to a business to grow and sustain. These are the various resources that we are talking about. And of course, going on the other hinterland, time is also very precious. Time is also one of the important resources that we all have to deal with. These are the various resources. Now, when I say optimal utilization of these resources, what does it mean? It means that all these resources which are available to us, either as an individual or as a household or as a firm or a company, we should get the best out of them. We should try to get the maximum mileage out of each resource which is deployed in any particular function or any particular project. We should try to get maximum mileage out of that. And that's what economic tells us how to do that. Why it is important to utilize resources efficiently and most optimally? Because resources are deployed to meet our various wants and needs. There are various needs that we have as human beings. There are various needs that we have as a household, as a family. There are various needs that we have as a company, as a society. How do we meet those needs and wants with the effective utilization of the resources that are available to us? How do we optimize the utilization? That's the basic crux, what economic principles tell about and economic concepts deal about and deal with. The problem is further compounded by the fact that these resources which are scarce are capable of being utilized in alternate uses. Money, if not put in one project, can be allocated for some other project. All of us have 24 hours available to us. If we don't use it for one particular purpose, of course, we can do many other things for the same time which is available to us. Resources are scarce. We don't have the right quantity, adequate quantity, enough quantity of the resources that we would require or that we require for our various purposes. And the problem is further compounded by the fact that these resources are scarce and these resources are capable of being put to alternate uses. So we got to be careful in choosing which is that particular use in which a particular scarce resource can be gainfully utilized and can be optimally utilized. So probably we have to do kind of a switch a resource from one use to another use, depending upon the urgency of the task, depending upon the need that we have at a point of time, and depending upon how to get the best output, best productivity, best effectiveness, best efficiency out of all the resources which are available to us, which are of course scarce, as well as are capable of being put to alternate uses. You know, today we are living in a world which is characterized by an acronym, VUCA, VUCA. It's a VUCA word, where V stands for vulnerable, U stands for uncertain, C stands for complex, and A stands for ambiguous. The world that we live in, especially the commercial world or the business world, is highly vulnerable, volatile, highly uncertain, highly complex, and highly ambiguous. So in this kind of situation, where there are lots of unexpected happenings taking place, I'm not only talking about COVID-19, which is a recent phenomena, but many other things which are changing the world over. These pose a huge challenge for the businesses to be able to sustain and grow. But at the same time, along with the challenge, these events bring a lot of new opportunities for the businesses to be able to exploit, grow, and sustain over a period of time. That's where economics helps us very, very usefully to sustain, grow, and build our businesses, build our profession, build our household, and take it forward in spite of the fact that we are living in a world which is a VUCA world. Today we have companies in the marketplace which have profitless turnover. They have a great top line, they have a great turnover, they have a huge top line, but then end of the day, there's probably no profit because everything is eaten away by the expenses, both operational and non-operational. Or we have companies where there is cashless profit. There is huge profit available in the business. You have a good enough bottom line, but then there is no liquidity in the business. There is no cash. because probably your earnings might be stuck in the receivables. You would have sold goods on credit basis. You would have done some work and the payment is yet to come from that particular person. Therefore, you may have a good enough bottom line, good enough profitability, but then end of the day, there is no cash, there is no liquidity. We also have today very, very disruptive business models in the marketplace. We today live in a world where the world's largest travel car company does not own a single car. They don't own a single car, but that's the largest travel car company of the world. You know the answer, Uber. We live in a world where the world's largest travel lodging company does not have a single hotel room of their own, Airbnb. We live in a world where the world's largest retailer does not own a single brick and mortar store, Amazon. These are very, very disruptive business models, unheard of till about a few decades back. But these are the realities of today, where we have to carefully understand how economic principles are working, how economic concepts can be gainfully applied, how the study, understanding of economic concepts will be helpful in dealing with the VUCA world and the disruptive business models that we have in the marketplace. That's where economics comes in very, very handy as a subject, as a concept, as a discipline to be able to tell us a lot of things about our behavior in the marketplace. Now, there are different branches of economics. Yesterday, you had a session on macroeconomics. Today, I'm going to talk about microeconomics. Then you also have something called positive economics, and there is normative economics. Microeconomics as a concept deals with individuals, me, you. How do we behave when we go to a market? What is our behavior? What is our attitude when we go shopping in the marketplace? What kind of stuff do we buy? What kind of price do we pay? What kind of quality do we buy? Where do we buy it from? The same principles apply on a household. How does the company decide how much to produce, how much capacity to utilize, when to expand capacity, when to contract capacity, when to go for a merger, when to go for a demerger? Should we scale up our market, or should we stay put in the local market, or should we expand our market to regional, local, national, and then probably global level? When we deal with individuals, me, you, individual household, individual firm, individual company, then we are talking about microeconomics as a subject or microeconomics as a discipline. Yesterday's session, macroeconomics. Macroeconomics deals with aggregate of individuals, aggregate of households, aggregate of firms and companies, and therefore, there in that context, we talk about economy as a whole. Indian economy, world economy, US economy, Chinese economy, we talk about the economy as a whole. Where we are concerned with what is the GDP level of the country, gross domestic product. The GDP of India as of today is pitched at about 2.8 trillion US dollars, whereas US today is at about 22, 23 trillion US dollars, and China is somewhere down the line at about 15, 16 trillion US dollars. Mr. Modi has given a call of 5 trillion US dollar economy by 2024. It may not happen in 2024, but then that's a vision. That's a call given by him. We must at least have a goal post. It may take us few years more to reach onto that goal post, but it's very important in life as well as in the life of a country to have a goal post, to have a vision where you would like to reach over a period of time given going forward. So macroeconomics deals with aggregate of individuals, aggregate data of households, aggregate data of different firms and companies, whereas microeconomic deals with individuals, me, you, households, our family, Our company, one company, few companies, that's what we deal with in microeconomics. Positive economics is a concept which looks at the present status of a particular thing. What is the situation? Say if you want to study what is the situation of Indian economy as of today in this COVID-19 scenario. Good, bad, desirable, undesirable, that's a different viewpoint altogether. But let's first have a look at what is the situation of a household, of a company, of a country, of an economy. Then we are dealing with the concept of positive economics. Because positive economics deals with what is the situation without going into questions whether it is good, whether it is bad, not going into question, but we only try to look at what is the current situation. Then we have normative economics. Normative economics deals with what ought to be. Positive economic studies, what is the situation? Normative economic looks at what ought to be, what it should be like. If situation is bad, that's not desirable, how can I turn it around? How can I make it more desirable? And that's what normative economic looks at, what it ought to be, what it should be like. And then we try to find the gap between the current situation and the desirable situation, and then try to chalk out a strategy and an action plan. How do we move from the current situation to the desirable situation, or how do we move from positive economics to normative economics? So we have microeconomics, macroeconomics, positive economics, normative economics. The focus of this session today afternoon is going to be on various concepts, principles of microeconomics specifically. So microeconomic studies what choices people make, what factors influence their choices, and how their decisions affect the goods market by affecting the price, the supply, and demand. This three-line statement, in fact, encapsulates or covers the entire syllabus of the microeconomics topic. It deals with what choices people make, any kind of choice, what kind of education you would like to have, what kind of car you would like to buy, what kind of a washing machine you would like to buy, what kind of a food you would like to have, what kind of clothes you would like to wear, what kind of company you would like to join for a job. There are different choices that people have to make in their daily life. Similarly, when it comes to the company has to decide what kind of product profile the company should deal with. Should the company have a wider product profile or a narrow product profile? Should the company concentrate only on few products or multiple products? Should the company deal only with local market or regional market or national market or reach or read at the global level? What kind of technology should the company make use of? Should it be rudimentary technology? Should it be intermediary technology? Should it be high-tech, high-end technology? So there are always reasons where people have to make choices. How people make choices, understanding the behavior, understanding the underlying factors, what factors influence their choices. When we go to a market, there's a rainy season now, if we want to buy an umbrella, there are different kinds of umbrella available in the marketplace, starting from maybe a basic price of 50 rupees over to 500 rupees. If I buy an umbrella worth rupees 200 of a particular color, particular design, particular size, there must be various factors that influence my choice of purchase of umbrella at that particular point in time. I'm looking at the price factor, of course. I'm looking at the color choice. I don't like gaudy colors, yellow, green, red, blue. I would like to stick to the basic, maybe, the gray color or the black color kind of thing. I would like to look at how long is this umbrella going to give me service. Well, one rainy season, good enough. Next year, if it doesn't work, I'll buy another one. I'm not looking for an umbrella which might serve me for maybe next 2 years or 5 years or 10 years. So there are various factors which influence the choice of human beings when they are forced to make choices in their life, both as individuals or as households or as companies. And then the choices that individuals make, the choices that households make, these have indirectly, ultimately impact on the goods market. Because if I buy a 200 rupee black umbrella today, which has a shelf life or a useful life of just about a 1 year kind of time frame, this must have been produced by some company. So if I buy black umbrella worth rupees 200 with expectation of service of 1 year, it impacts that particular company which is manufacturing this particular umbrella. So we buy different products and goods in a marketplace, and that goes to affect the market for those goods and services in terms of price, in terms of supply, in terms of demand. Three key concepts or three key terms in economics: demand, supply, price. What is the demand for a product in the marketplace? Going by the demand forecasting, different tools and techniques utilized by different companies, a manufacturer or a businessman will decide how much he should put in the marketplace, or he will determine what should be the supply level. That means how much should be produced for market or produced for inventory. Because probably whatever you produce, you may not like to put the entire quantity in the marketplace at one time because of various obvious economic reasons. You may try to put maybe 70% of your output, 80% of your output in the market immediately, and balance 20% you might probably decide to carry in your warehouse to be supplied at a later date. But then that's all about supply. How much quantity of a particular product is put in the market by a manufacturer or by a businessman. And then, of course, is the aspect of price. At what price should I sell my product in the marketplace? iPhone 10, iPhone 11, iPhone 12, anytime a new Apple iPhone is about to hit the market, 6 months before the launch, the actual launch, hype starts created in the marketplace. There are big full-page advertisements in the newspaper. I-12 is coming, next iPhone is coming, whatnot. And then the prices are really crazy, premium pricing, because the product quality, the product brand, the product loyalty, and well, there are some people who would like to show off. And there are number of such people. There's no shortage of such kind of people who have lots of money and would like to spend their money on these kind of luxury items. There'll be beeline for buying of these products from these kind of category of people, and therefore the price is kept very, very high to begin with. But over a period of time, maybe a few weeks down the line, you would have noticed prices start dropping down. The prices of some products drop more rapidly as compared to prices of some other products. But then that's a fact that a new product being a novelty, it fetches a premium price in the market. But as it becomes a common pedestrian commodity, the prices have to be falling down going forward. Then only people will be able to sustain the demand. Otherwise, the demand for the product simply tapers off. So by these few examples, I've tried to give you a perception and an idea as to what economics is all about. Economics deals with understanding behavior, attitude, actions of people, how and why they make various choices in life, what are the factors that influence their choices, and choices made by individuals and firms have an impact on the goods and supplies market or the goods and services market in terms of their impact on level of demand, level of supply, and of course, the price level at which the goods and services are going to be sold and produced. When it comes to households, we all have a family we manage. So, economics determines how households spend their budgets. Every family has a family budget. How do we balance our budget every month? What combination of goods and services will best fit their needs and wants given the budget they have to spend? How do people decide whether to work, and if so, whether to work full time or part time? In India, the concept of part time working is not so common as in the Western world, where people by choice work part time after a particular level once they have fulfilled their basic economic needs, and after that they voluntarily decide to work only part time and not on a full time basis where there are ample opportunities available. Unfortunately, this model hasn't yet actually picked up or truly picked up in the Indian scenario. How do we decide how much to save for the future? And how do we decide if I want to buy a car, if I don't have adequate funds, should I borrow? Should I wait to have my own savings, then buy a car? Or should I borrow, take a car loan, and buy the car right now? If I want to have a fridge, should I buy it out or should I take it on EMI? Or maybe another option available in the marketplace, take it on rent. Yes, refrigerator, washing machine, TV, furniture, bed, dining table, all these things are today also available on rent basis. Third para, when it comes to the company, then the choices that the company has to make or the business has to make is all about what kind of products the company should deal with, how many of each products the company will produce and sell, what determines the price a firm will charge, what determines how a firm will produce its products, that's in terms of the production processes, the technology. How will we decide how many workers to hire on permanent basis, on contractual basis, on temporary basis? How will the firm finance its business? Where do we get the money, both for short-term as well as long-term needs? Should we issue shares in the marketplace? Should we issue debentures and bonds? Should we take a loan from a bank? Should we take a loan from a relative or family member? Should I only utilize my own savings, my retirement benefits, my provident fund gratuity money? All this has to be decided as part of the choice or decision how to finance the business and then when to expand, when to downsize, maybe when to close. Why not? In fact, the latest law, IBC, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, it talks about how to exit the business, how to close the business. If you have run into a wall and if you are not able to carry on your business profitably, you would like to exit. It actually provides an exit opportunity to a management by going through the process of IBC 2016. You can actually exit the business, which unfortunately has not really worked in your favor or has not been giving desirable results as you expected from that particular business. So the heart of the economic thinking lies in the concept of scarcity. If I have ample amount of money, even more than what I really need, if I had ample raw material for my business, even more than what I need, probably there would be no economic problem. But in real life, that's not the case. We always have scarcity of various resources. You look at any angle, any level, individually, as a family, as a business, as a country, you always have scarcity of resources. And because these resources are competing with one another, because they have alternate uses, therefore, we have to apply economic concepts and principles with a view to ensuring that these scarce resources, which have alternate uses, are used most optimally, most efficiently. So we deal with scarcity, we deal with choice, and then we deal with the concept of opportunity cost. What is meant by opportunity cost? Consumers demand goods and services, and producers offer these for sale, but nobody can take everything they want from the economic system. Choices have to be made. For every choice made, something is foregone. If you decide to go for an evening walk for 1 hour, 5 to 6 every evening, you have 24 hours in a day. That means this 1 hour you have definitely foregone for something else. You could have probably enjoyed music sitting at home. You probably would have been able to read a book. Maybe you would have done some household chore. Maybe you would have gone to market to buy some stuff. But then you decided to go for an evening walk for 1 hour. You have definitely foregone something. Opportunity cost is the cost of or the best alternative foregone. What is the second best thing that you could have done? Out of various options available to you, instead of going in for an evening walk, what is the second best thing that probably you would have done, you could have done, is what is the concept behind opportunity cost or opportunity of choice. Consumption. Consumption is the value of goods and services bought by people through the process of buying, which are aggregated over time and space. Is there a difference between a customer and a consumer, or both are same? Customer is someone who buys the product for the first time from a shop. If he's buying that product for himself, for his own consumption, then he's the customer and he will also be the consumer. But if a person buys something not for his own use, but for use by someone else, then there is obviously a clear distinction between a customer and a consumer. Consumption is the process by which people buy things from the market, which they may or they might immediately consume, or they might consume over a period of time. But then the process of buying the goods and services from the marketplace is what is known as consumption. Actually, consumption is one single factor that drives the entire economy. Unless people buy goods and services, why would companies produce those goods and services? And thus there'd be a complete standstill in the economy. That's what happened when the lockdown was announced on 25th of March, and then government decided to ease the lockdown or unlock 1, 2, 3, and so on phases, because consumption had dropped down to such an abysmal level. No industry working, no business working, consumption at very, very low level. The economy was going down and down day by day. Ultimately, the government had to take a call somehow to revive the consumption. People should come out. People should buy goods and services. When people start buying goods and services, that's how businesses will start rolling up again. That's how economy will start reviving. Unless the consumption peps up, unless the consumption steps up in the marketplace, there is no business, there is no growth, there is no economic development happening in the country for that matter. Now, when I say you buy goods from the market, the goods can be of two kinds: durable goods or non-durable goods. Durable goods are long-lasting goods. Refrigerator, you don't buy every month. You buy it once in 5 years, maybe once in 4 years, whatever. You buy your car once in 5 years, once in 10 years. All these are durable goods, but non-durable goods are like groceries, like vegetable you buy every day, almost every day. You have milk, you have bread, you have groceries, you have vegetable, which you buy almost every day. So goods can be of two kinds: durable goods and non-durable goods. And consumption of these goods on the part of individuals or households is what actually drives the entire economy. Why do we buy goods? Why do we consume goods? What drives consumption? Consumption, or the process of buying of goods, is driven by the various needs that we have, which we need to satisfy. According to Professor A.S. Maslow, in management, there is a need hierarchy theory, which says that as an individual, we have 5 different levels of needs: physiological needs or basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter, roti, kapra, or makan. Once these basic human needs are fulfilled, then we start looking for social needs. Human beings are social animals. We want to socialize. We want to make friends. We want to talk to people. We want people to talk to us. And for that, we join various groups. We join various organizations, both virtual and actual. And thus we interact with various people. That's the social need. Then we have ego needs. Ego needs are, everyone has ego to a certain extent. Some people have more, some people have less. Once you find yourself pretty reasonably well, okay, satisfied with your basic economic needs, then you start looking for satisfying your ego. I want to have a bigger car. A car is a car. It's a four-wheeler car kind of thing. Maybe a Maruti 800 or an Alto would serve the same purpose as a Mercedes. But then if I have money, if I can afford, why not go for a Mercedes? My friends have Mercedes, my relatives have Mercedes. I should also go for that. That's the ego factor, nothing else. A watch is a watch. I can buy a simple watch for rupees 100. It will give me time, or I can buy a Rolex. I mean, same function. But then if I have money, in order to be able to satisfy my ego, probably I would like to go for costlier brands with a view to be able to satisfy my snob appeal or my ego. Then we have safety needs. Human beings need both physical as well as mental safety. I want physical safety, of course, but then I also need mental safety. I don't want anybody to disturb my mental peace. And at the last level of hierarchy, we have the need for self-actualization. I want to reach the highest pinnacle of whatever area I'm working in. If I'm an artist, I want to be as great an artist as no one else was there. If I'm an writer, I want to be so good a writer that even better than Shakespeare. Whatever area you are working in, you want to be better than the rest of the world. That's an aspiration. You may probably never be able to reach onto that level, but that's an aspiration, and that's the need that drives you all through your life for that matter. So there are different levels of needs that we have, and depending upon the economic level that a person has, at a given point of time, you try to satisfy your needs going from one level to another level, or all the needs parallelly, concurrently at the same time, but in different proportions. And as you become more economically independent, as your income level grows, as you get promotions working in the company, as your business grows, you probably shift from one kind of product to another kind of product because you're now better off. You're not able to afford a better product, then you should switch from one product to another product. So far as needs and wants are concerned, wants are unlimited in number. They are never completely satisfied. I want this, I want that. Once I have this, I want something else. Once I have that something else, I want something else. I mean, as human beings, wants are unlimited in number. They are never really completely satisfied. But wants differ in intensity. Some wants are urgent, some can be deferred. Each want is satiable. Yes, one particular want, if I want to satisfy, it is possible. By sacrificing something else, probably I can devote whole lot of resources that I have in order to be able to satisfy one particular want. That's quite possible. But then wants are competitive because resources are limited, money is limited. If I want to have a bigger car, probably I'll have to sacrifice a house. If I want to have a house, probably I'll have to sacrifice a car because wants are competitive, resources are scarce, they compete with each other for satisfaction. Some wants are complementary. I want to join a club. The club has certain code of conduct and etiquette. I have to dress up accordingly. I might have to buy a costlier dress for that. Therefore, the wants become complementary. Wants are subjective and relative. Of course, my wants are different from someone else's. His wants are different from someone else's. Each individual has a different perception, attitude, behavior, outlook towards his life, and therefore the wants are subjective and they are relative. Something which is very, very urgent for a particular person may be very, very tiny kind of want for someone else. Wants also change with time, place, and person. Wants are recurring. Some of the wants recur. Wants ultimately become habits. There are many families in India where I think for a number of decades they haven't seen any other toothpaste other than Colgate. Their father used to have Colgate. Now I use Colgate. Now my children also use Colgate. I mean it's become a habit or a custom. Wants are also affected by income level, taste, fashion, advertisement on TV, newspaper, billboards. They have a huge impact on what we buy, why we buy, and social custom. And wants also arise sometimes on the basis of social obligation. Just because I have to meet certain obligation on social basis, that also gives rise to various kinds of wants. So wants can be classified in terms of necessities of life, a minimum amount of food, minimum amount of clothing, food, clothing, and shelter, minimum amount of reasonable things which you require for your life. These can be classified as necessaries. Now, comforts might decide to have a cooler if possible. You know, even a Juggi Chopri cluster these days, people may not have enough money to be able to have a do time ka khana or a two-time meal, but they would probably have a TV there and they would probably also have an old cooler there. How do they manage? On EMI? But there's no electricity in that Juggi Jhopri cluster. They know Jugaad. They will do something, they will pull a wire and they will have some kind of arrangement. They will have TV, they will have maybe old cooler, but they may be having a struggle to have two-time food for their entire family. Comforts are where these are less urgent. I would like to have a good house. Fine. If I'm able to, as and when I'm able to, I'll move to a better house. But as long as I'm not able to afford, I'm okay wherever I'm staying. Clothes to suit different occasions, labor saving devices, maybe a washing machine, maybe a refrigerator, maybe a utensils washing machine, maybe a whatever. All these things are comforts. Then you have luxuries, which are essentially for snob appeal, show off kind of thing, buying a Rolex watch, buying a Mercedes, Audi, because you can afford, because you have money, why not go for that? So wants and needs can be classified in three categories: necessities, comforts, and luxury. And let's look at what determines the demand for a product or supply of a product in the marketplace. Let's look at a different presentation. I'll close it down. This is a very important aspect of economics, which talks about theory of demand. What is meant by demand, which looks like to be a very simple word, but then it has very many different dimensions and very many different concepts. What is demand? The technical definition of demand as per economic concepts is demand is the quantity of a product consumers are willing and able to buy at different prices in a specified time period. Quantity of a product consumers are willing and able to buy. There are two important words here. The customers should be able to buy it economically and they should also be willing to buy it. As there is a clamor nowadays of sort of boycotting Chinese product, people are not willing to buy Chinese product in the market now as it used to be a few months back. Even if people are able to afford a Chinese product at whatever price it's being sold, but people are not willing to buy that. So first comes the willingness of a person to be able to buy a product, and second is the ability of the person to be able to buy the product at a given price, and that will be determined by his income level, his urgency of requirement, and many other factors such as fashion, social customs, family tradition, things like that. There are different connotations of demand. There is direct demand and derived demand. The demand for automobiles is a direct demand. The demand for petrol and diesel is a derived demand. Individual and market demand. Demand for a product by one individual or the demand for a product in the market as a whole, which is collective of aggregate of individuals, there is a difference. Therefore, we say there is a different concept of individual demand and market demand. There is a recurring demand and there is a replacement demand. Many products we buy on a recurring basis, and many products we buy as a replacement. Once a particular product has been worn out, has overcome its entire life, then we go for replacement. Products may also be complementary or competing. Tea and coffee, competing products. Bonvita, Horlicks, competing products. But complementary where? Say automobile, petrol, diesel. The demand for certain products can be complementary, and demand for certain other products can also be competing. And then there could also be a dichotomy between new and replacement demand. Buying a product for the first time, if you're buying a car for the first time in your family, or if you already have a car, you want to replace it with a new one. So there is a different demand, new demand, and demand for replacement of product. What are the factors which determine demand for a product or a service? There are several factors. First important factor is price of the product. Price, of course, plays a very important role. When we go to a market to buy any product, the shopkeeper starts showing us, this is something available for 70 rupees. I tell him to show me something better. He shows me something for 85. I ask for something better. He shows me 110. I ask for the best available. He shows me something for 150. It all depends. There are all kinds of buyers in the market. Someone will buy 70 rupees product. Someone will buy 150 rupees product. But so long as it depends upon each individual customer, you will consider many factors relevant to the particular choice or decision, and then on that basis decide how much is it really worth spending on this particular item. But of course, price has a very important impact on demand. If the price goes high, the demand becomes less, and if the price is lower, the demand for a product is normally higher. I'll come to that little later, but this in economics is known as law of demand. Income of the consumer. Of course, the demand for a product will depend upon the income of the consumer. It will also depend upon price of related product. It will depend upon taste and preferences of each individual, household, society. Advertising has a big impact. Consumer expectation of future income and price. I may decide to buy a car on EMI or by taking a car loan because I'm expecting a promotion within the next few months. I know that my salary is going to jump from this level to this level, and entire increase in my salary, I intend to put in kind of EMI so that I would like to buy a car today because I'm expecting an increase in my income in future. Similarly, if you are expecting increase in the price of a product in future, you may probably like to buy it now, store it for future, because you know that the price is going to rise in future of a particular product. The demand for various products also depends upon the level of economic development of the country. Consumption level in US is very, very high, highest in the world. That's because their GDP level is 22, 23 trillion US dollars. And the population, is much less as compared to India. So the per capita income of average American, average US citizen is very, very high. Having a car is very common. Even the common household worker will come in the car. So it all depends upon the level of economic development of the economy as to what will be the level of demand for various products and services in the particular country, in a particular economy. Demand also changes on seasonal basis. India enjoys 4 seasons. No other country in the world enjoys 4 seasons for that matter. But then there are many businesses in India which are seasonal in nature. To commonly reflect and give a real life example, there are many businesses in India who do such level of business in the months of August to November, just about 4 months, this festival season, Dussehra, Diwali, and whatnot. The rest of the 7 months, 8 months, they hardly do any business. Most of their business is done in these 4 months only. That's because of the seasonal conditions and change in season. And of course, population has a huge impact on the demand. Why many of the foreign multinational corporations are looking at India as a place to get in, because they know that 130 crore people is a huge market for their product. Whatever product they want to sell, there is a huge, huge market for that in India. And therefore, that provides a very huge opportunity for them to get into Indian scenario. That is why many multinational companies, foreign companies, are getting into the Indian scene. What is a demand schedule? Demand schedule is kind of a table, kind of a data which shows the relationship between price and demand for the product. Law of demand says higher the price, lower the demand, and vice versa. Lower the price, higher the demand. But then there is a big rider there, other things remaining the same. When you should only be looking at relationship between price and demand, income level of the customer should remain the same, season should remain the same, fashion should remain the same. I mean, all the other factors should remain the same. Ceteris paribus. There is a Latin term, other things remaining the same. There is a Latin expression for that, ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus, other things remaining the same, price and demand for a product have an inverse relationship. At 4 rupees, demand is 10 units. When the price comes down, demand goes up. When the price further comes down, demand further goes up. If you put it out in the form of a table, this is called demand schedule. Demand schedule, if you put on a graph, it becomes a demand curve. So graphical representation of demand schedule is called a demand curve. The demand curve is a downward sloping curve which slopes from left to right. When on the x-axis you have quantity demanded, on the y-axis you have price. When you plot the demand schedule, you will get a downward sloping curve which slopes from left to right. This is technically called a demand curve. Law of demand. As the price of goods rise, quantity demanded of that good falls. As the price falls, quantity demanded of that good rises. Ceteris paribus. Other things remaining the same. If other things also change, income changes, fashion changes, season changes, then the law of demand may not apply. Therefore, the important rider here is, important exception here is ceteris paribus. Other things remaining the same.
Excuse me, what is ceteris paribus?
Other things remaining the same. English meaning of this expression is other things remaining the same. In the previous slide we had seen demand for a product depends upon many factors besides price. There are 6, 7 factors. But if we look at law of demand says higher the price, lower will be demand, lower the price, higher will be demand, ceteris paribus, other things remaining the same. That means other 6 factors should not be considered, should not change. Only then the law of demand will stand. Otherwise, law of demand will not function.
Thank you.
Yes. Demand function. Demand depends upon various factors, 5, 6, 7 factors that we have seen earlier in the slide. You can put it down mathematically in the form of an equation. Demand is a function of, and then within bracket, you can write many things. Price, income, fashion, season, economy, you can write many factors. So if you write all these factors in mathematical form, it becomes a demand function. What are the exceptions to law of demand? What are the situations in which the law of demand will not operate? Law of demand doesn't operate in case of inferior goods. Inferior goods are common goods like salt, potatoes. I mean, whatever be the price, if a household has to buy, has to buy. Sugar, even if the price goes up, doubles, becomes 3 times, still you may probably continue to buy the same amount because these are inferior goods. They don't really impact much on your family budget. This point is also connected with 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth point. These are the goods which have insignificant proportion of expenditure on particular item. Therefore, salt. I mean, how much you spend on salt in a month in a family? Even if the price becomes 3 times, doesn't matter. I'll continue to buy the same commodity or same quantity as I require for my family. Snob appeal. If you are buying something basically for show off, ostentatious appeal, snob appeal, then of course the law of demand will not apply. Then in that case, people will actually react in opposite direction. If the price of Mercedes car becomes higher, those people who have lots of money, they will probably buy more because it gives them higher level of snob appeal. It gives them a chance to show off, and therefore law of demand will not apply. Same thing is demonstration effect is also that only show off. Future expectation of prices. How do you expect price of a particular product to move in future, whether up or down? Depending upon that, you may decide to buy more of it or less of it. So that also becomes kind of an exception to the law of demand. And then goods with no substitutes. If you have a product for which there is no substitute, then of course, even if the price goes up and you can't live without that particular product, law of demand will not apply. You will continue to buy the same commodity, same quantity, even after increase or decrease, because there is no choice, there is no substitute. So these are some of the exceptions to the law of demand. What is the difference between change in demand versus change in quantity demanded? Change in demand takes place when there is, read the second statement here, when there is change in non-price determinants of demand. If the demand for a product changes because of change in income, because of change in fashion, because of change in season, because of change in level of economic development, then it is called change in demand. But if the demand for a product changes because of solely price factor, price going up or down, then it is known as change in quantity demanded. A slight technical difference. Change in quantity demanded happens only because of the impact or movement of price, whether up or down. Change in demand happens when demand undergoes a change because of non-price determinants. Income, fashion, season, level of economic development. If anything or all of these factors change and the demand also changes, then it is called a change in demand. So when there is change in demand, the demand curve shifts to a new position. Original demand curve with a solid line. New demand curve, dotted line. Demand curve has shifted its position. It could either go on to higher plane or to a lower plane, either on the right or on the left. That's a different thing. But it moves to a different plane altogether because the demand has changed on account of change in income, change in fashion, change in season or change in level of economic development, and not only because of change in price. But what happens when there is change in price only? This is change in quantity demanded. Change in quantity demanded means change in quantity demanded as a result of change in price. Ceteris paribus. Other things remaining the same. I'm only looking at the impact of price change on the quantity demanded. Therefore, there'll be no new demand curve in this case. We are looking at movement on the same demand curve, up or down. Demand may go up, demand may go down on the same demand curve. Whereas in the previous case, we had a new demand curve, which was a shifted one onto the right hand side with a dotted line. Whereas in this case, we have same demand curve, but the demand goes either up or goes down. Why the demand curve slopes downwards? Or basic question, why does the law of demand apply? There is a concept in economics known as law of diminishing marginal utility. To make it simple, let's understand all the three words diminishing, marginal, and utility separately, starting with utility. Why do we buy a product? Any product. We buy a product only because we perceive some utility from that product. Whether it is food item or grocery or umbrella or car or house, anything that you talk about, every product is purchased, bought by a consumer because of its utility. Then we come to diminishing. Diminishing means going down in simple English language. Then we say marginal. If a person is thirsty, first glass of water will give him very, very big relief. He's not satisfied. He wants to have another glass of water. Second glass of water will give him satisfaction, but not as much as he derived from the first glass. He may still not be satisfied fully. Third glass of water will not give him such satisfaction as the second glass of water that he had. Fourth glass of water, probably he may vomit. I mean, it may not be desirable at all to have a fourth glass of water kind of thing. The point that I'm making here is the more and more quantity that you have of a product, the utility of each additional unit that you have, it goes on decreasing. Additional unit. Marginal means additional unit. The literal meaning of the word marginal here is additional unit. You have 100 crores, you have 101. The utility will be less. Someone has 2 crores and he has 1 crore more. 1 crore additional. But someone who has 2 and he gets 1 more, someone who has 100 and he gets 1 more, the utility is going to be different, obviously. So because for each additional unit of a product that you buy, its utility is going to be diminishing. Therefore, if you have to buy additional product or more quantity, there has to be a reason. And the reason has to be price. The price has to be less. As there are schemes and discounts available in the shopping malls. Buy 2, get 3 free. Or buy 3, get 2 free. There is a double catch over there. I actually want to buy only 2. But then he gives me buy 3. He says buy 1 more, please. And then I will give you 2 free. But then there is a limited choice available. These are the 10 shirt pieces available. Out of these 10 pieces only, you have to buy and pick up 5. You don't have a wider choice. You are not in a showroom where you are going to take up any product for that matter. Your choice is restricted. So you have to make a choice. When you pick up those 5 pieces there, real life example, real life experience, you would have noticed 2 are going to be very good, which you will wear quite often. 2 or 1 is going to be so-so, and 2 are going to be real bad, which you will probably never wear. You will give it out to someone else or just keep it in your wardrobe or cupboard. But then, because of that scheme over there, buy 3, get 2 free, You picked up 5 pieces. So the businessman will try to lure you by keeping some kind of discount, keeping the prices low, because he knows your psychology. If you have to be made to buy more number of items, the price has to be reduced. Otherwise, you will not buy more items. Income effect. When the price goes up, demand goes down. Because when the price goes up, what happens is actually your income goes down. I mean, whatever amount of money you have, when the price goes up, you can buy less of that in order to be able to manage your family budget. You can't have the same commodity. You can't have the same quantity. Mangoes, when the season starts, 120, 150 rupees. You buy maybe 2 mangoes to begin with, or 1 mango. During peak season, price drops down to something like 80. So you start buying more. When the season is vanishing, again the price goes up to 120, 130, 150. You again back to 1, or maybe leave it. Let's leave mango now. We'll buy it next season now, because these have become very, very costly. Substitution effect. Most of the products in the marketplace have substitutes. Most of the products. In fact, if I may say, all the products, I mean, there's no product which has no substitute. All the products in the marketplace have certain substitutes. So you can decide, if not mango, I can buy pears. If not pears, I can buy grapes. If not grapes, I can buy apples. If not apples, I can buy something else, whatever. Because if the price goes beyond a particular level, I will stop buying much of that quantity. I will substitute for something else. New customers coming into the marketplace, they are always very, very pricey, very, very choosy. They would like to initially start by buying little of the quantity. If the price is higher, only if the price becomes less, then they will buy more of that quantity. And the commodity has multiple uses. It can be used for very many different things. Therefore, the law of demand actually applies. The concept of elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand is the responsiveness of quantity of a product to change in one variable on which the demand depends. Price. What is the responsiveness of demand to change with a given change in price? What is the responsiveness of demand to change with the change in income of the consumer? What is the responsiveness of quantity demanded for a product to change with the change in any other factors? Maybe substitute, maybe complementary product, maybe season, maybe income level, maybe whatever. This is called elasticity of demand. So we have 3 types of elasticities of demand. Price elasticity of demand, which is relationship between price and demand. Income elasticity of demand, which is the relationship between income and demand. And cross elasticity of demand, which is relationship between demand and some other factor. Price elasticity of demand is change in price and change in demand. What is the mathematical relationship between the two? So if you look at the second equation here, Q2 minus Q1, quantity demanded now minus quantity demanded earlier, divided by price now minus price earlier. This shows what is the responsiveness of demand for a product to change with a given change in the price of a product. Q2 minus Q1 divided by P2 minus P1. There are some products which have inelastic demand. Inelastic demand for inferior goods like salt, they gave the example. Whatever happens to the price, low, high, people will continue to buy in the same commodity. Income elasticity is where we are looking at what is the percentage change in quantity demanded in relation to percentage change in the income of the consumer. Price elasticity, where we are looking at percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. Income elasticity, where we are looking at percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in income of the consumer. cross elasticity because of other factors. Percentage change in quantity demanded of product A divided by percentage change in price of product B. What happens to demand of tea if the price of coffee changes? What happens to the demand for four-wheelers in case the price of two-wheeler changes? What happens to the demand for petrol in case the price of diesel changes? We're looking at quantity demanded of a particular product in relation to change in price of some other product, maybe a substitute, maybe a complementary, or maybe a competing product. So that's all about demand theory, which is a very, very important concept in economics, which I tried to share with you. That's about the economic concept of so we saw the law of demand. Now we look at the law of supply. Law of supply states that all other factors being equal, as the price of a good or service increases, the quantity of goods and services will increase. That means price goes up, supply also goes up, price goes down, supply also goes down. From a business point of view, if the price of a product is high in the market or demand for a product is high in the market, then they would like to put more of that product in the market because that will be helpful for them to make more. But if the demand, yes, sir?
PPT, sir, PPT is not visible.
PPT is not.
Okay. Now showing, sir?
No, not yet, sir. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So law of supply. Law of supply says that higher the price of the product in the market, the quantity of goods and services that suppliers will offer will also increase because that will go to increase their profitability. But then, of course, there are certain exceptions to law of supply, or which is known as backward sloping supply curve. Exceptions about future price. If a seller expects a price to further rise in future, he may not put more commodity or more quantity in the marketplace now. He will try to what is known as hold. He may withhold the supply, keep it in his warehouse, and will take out the quantity and take out the commodity only when the prices have risen still further. The law of supply also doesn't apply to supply of labor. Say there is a worker who works for 8 hours and he gets a minimum wage of 22,000 in a particular state. Employer offers him a choice. You please work for 2 more hours. I will give you overtime and your salary virtually will become 26,000. He's very happy because he's not able to make 2 ends meet in the family. He's very happy to get some additional money. Now he starts working for 10 hours. His employer tells him to work for 2 more hours and then he will give 4,000 more. There are chances, I'm not saying everybody will say no, but there are chances that the worker might say, sorry, I don't want to work any further, because 12 hours becomes too heavy for him, 14 hours becomes too heavy for him. He'll be contented with whatever money he is able to earn by working for 12 hours or 14 hours, and he will not probably want to go beyond that. So the supply of labor also becomes restricted. You can't buy labor hours simply by paying more and more money. After a particular level, being a human being, he will say no, he will cut down on his labor supply. The law of supply in that case will not apply. Utility, we discussed that utility, anything that you buy from the market is bought for the purpose because it is useful to you. Law of diminishing marginal utility. The law of diminishing marginal utility is based on an important fact that while total wants of a person are virtually unlimited, each single want is satiable. You can satisfy one particular want even though you may not be able to satisfy all your wants. Law of diminishing marginal utility says additional benefit which a person derives from a given increase in the stock of a thing diminishes with every increase in the stock that he already has. If you have 5 shirts, you buy the 6th one, utility becomes less. You buy 7th, utility becomes less. You have 10, you buy 11th one, utility becomes less. This law describes the fundamental tendency of human nature. It simply says that a consumer takes more units of a product, the extra satisfaction that he derives from an extra unit of a product, it goes on falling down. Consumer surplus, there is a concept in economics, which is the difference between what a consumer is willing to pay and what he actually pays for that. Suppose you go to the market to buy an umbrella, being a rainy season, and you have a basic price in your mind, anything around 150 should be good enough. Even if it lasts me for one season, it's good enough. I'm not looking for 2-year, 3-year life. One season, a few days of rainy season left now, 150 rupees is what you are willing to pay for an umbrella. You start looking for an umbrella, the shopkeeper shows you, sir, this one for 110. I ask him, show me some better one. He shows you 130. I ask for still better one. He shows me 170. Finally, I pick up the 131. I buy an umbrella for rupees 130. What I was willing to pay, as per my perception, 150. What is my consumer surplus? 20 rupees. Consumer surplus is a phenomena. What you are perceiving to pay, what you are willing to pay for a product, and how much you actually end up paying for that product, the difference between the two is technically called consumer surplus. What is that you are willing to pay? What is that you actually pay? The difference is called consumer surplus. Indifference curve in economics is a concept which represents satisfaction level by substituting 2 or more things together. To give a common example, suppose I have a budget of maybe say 200 rupees to be spent on fruits every week. Now the mango season starts. 150 rupees a kg, 130 rupees a kg kind of thing. So I buy one piece of mango and maybe I buy 4 bananas. 200 rupees over. Then as the season becomes more for mangoes, price comes down to 80 rupees, 90 rupees, maybe 100 rupees. I buy 2 pieces of mangoes and probably prices of bananas would have probably gone up. I continue to buy 4 pieces of banana. Then the season again changes. Bananas become very, very costly. Then I pick up 2 mangoes and maybe 3 bananas. This is the different combinations I'm trying to make of different products. two or more products so as to remain within my budget, the budget that I've decided for a particular thing. I want to remain within that, and therefore I look at what is the best possible combination that I can have, which gives me maximum possible satisfaction. This is an example, but then what are the basic assumptions underlying indifference curve approach? In fact, the entire economic theory, besides ceteris paribus, other things remaining the same, is based on the perception that consumer is rational. As human beings, we are very, very rational. When we go to buy a product in the marketplace, we have some kind of a measurement scale, very, very precise measurement scale in our mind, by which we compare whether it is worth paying 110 rupees for this particular product, or should I pay only 90, nothing more than that. And then you haggle, you bargain with that shopkeeper. That's the basic assumption that we have. Maybe most of us are rational, but even some of us or most of us act irrationally at times. That's a different thing. But the basic assumption in economics is that consumers are rational. And we have full information about all the relevant aspects of economic environment in which we are living. So what are the properties or characteristics of indifference curve? Need not go into detail. You have to just remember the basic, maybe a statement or maybe a concept. Indifference curve slope downward to the right because of the application of law of demand. Indifference curves are always convex to the origin, not concave, but convex to the origin. That's also because of law of demand. And indifference curve can never intersect each other, because if they intersect with each other, that will show that the relationship of one combination is not superior to the other combination, which is against the rationality concept that normally we look at. So higher indifference curve represents a higher level of satisfaction than a level of lower indifference curve. So we always look at consumer equilibrium. When you go to market to buy vegetables, how much is this for? 50 rupees. No, this too costly. Give me 45. And then within 45, give me 300 grams. Because you're not looking for 1 kg straight away or half kg straight away. You look at 300 grams, 700 grams, 750 grams, depending upon your requirement. And you also bargain with the shopkeeper for the price, because you want to have maximum satisfaction for whatever amount of money you want to spend on each particular item that you buy from the marketplace. You want to have that kind of an equilibrium. There is intense competition in the marketplace all across, around the world, globally. In economics, all the markets having different types and structure of competition are classified under different categories. Perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, oligopolistic competition. Different types of market structures explained and distinguished on the basis of the level and extent and intensity of competition existing in the marketplace. First is, to keep it very, very simple, this is, in economic books, you have a whole chapter of this market structure of 100 pages. But you need not go into such details, because this is just a small, tiny part of your syllabus. You have to have just a basic understanding what is a perfect competitive market, what is perfect competition. Perfect competition is a market where there are large number of buyers and sellers, very, very large, almost infinite. There is a uniform price prevailing in the marketplace. There is a homogeneous product, not many varieties, one single product. There is free entry and exit. Any new businessman can enter into the market or exit. And there is perfect mobility of the factors of production. And there is perfect knowledge on the part of each customer as regards the market characteristics. These are some of the characteristics of a market which is known as a perfectly competitive market.
Sir, what do you mean by free entry and free exit?
Sir, no entry barriers. Anybody wanting to get into any industry, set up any new business, the government doesn't impose any barriers, no license required, no approval required, no barriers, whatever, free entry. And free exit, anytime you want to close your shop, you want to close your business, you can simply get out of it. Free entry and free exit.
But
Now, all these conditions which
in
I
our country,
mentioned,
such policy is not there. Free entry is not there.
absolutely, sir, that's what I'm
You
coming to.
need 15 licenses to establish an industry.
That's what I'm coming to my second statement here, sir. Perfect competition is a myth. It is also written in the books, but I'm also telling you, making this statement. The characteristics that I mentioned about perfect competition, all these characteristics are not possible to be having in a real life market. Perfect competition is a myth. Then comes the next question. If perfect competition is a myth, why study it? Why is there in the economic books? See, we are talking about something like Ram Rajya. There may not be Ram Rajya today, but at least we have a vision of a Ram Rajya. Someday, probably, we might again be able to realize our vision of Ram Rajya or having a perfect competition kind of situation, but then it doesn't exist anywhere in the world as of today. You are very, very right. It's just a theoretical concept. Then we have monopolistic competition. There are many sellers, but the difference is in the perfect competition, we had homogeneous product, same product, but here the product is differentiated. Different quality, different sizes, different colors, different kinds of products are available in the market. This situation is called monopolistic competition. This is more near to reality. The kind of markets that we have today, this is more near to reality. Monopoly, we know, mono means one, poly means seller. When there is one seller, it's a monopoly. There's hardly any monopoly in the world today because for every product you have number of alternate manufacturers, number of alternate businesses, very few maybe products or very few examples where you could probably talk about monopoly. Otherwise, there's hardly any monopoly available for any product. Oligo. Oligo means few. Poly means seller. Few sellers. Not many. Monopolistic competition, we had many sellers. Oligopoly, few sellers. Now, how much is few? No, economic doesn't provide you any specific number. Whether 10 is few or 100 is few or 1000 is few, I don't really know. Economic doesn't provide that answer. But it says the number is restricted. It's not very many different buyers and sellers competing in a marketplace. The number is restricted. And that's where most of the markets today are actually characterized by. Oligopoly is real life. Monopolistic is real life. Then you have duopoly. Duo is two. Poly means seller. Two sellers. Monosony. P is silent. Mono means one. Sony means buyer. One buyer. Monosony. Oligosony. P is silent. Oligo means few. Sony means buyer. When there are few buyers for a product, oligosony. Just to remember all these concepts, sometimes they ask question as to what is the meaning of oligopoly. They may give you 4 alternate examples over there. So you have to just have a basic understanding of all this. In fact, after I cover my, I think few of my more slides out here, I'll share with you some sample multiple choice questions, the
One
kind of
submission,
questions
sir.
which you can expect in the exam with regard to microeconomic subject. I'll share with you some MCQs.
One submission, sir.
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Can you just give us a 5 minutes break?
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Will you please quote any product for monopoly, oligopoly, duopoly, monopoly, oligopoly?
Monopoly said, I said, very difficult, sir. In fact, if anyone of you can help me out, find out a product which is the monopoly product in the market today, very difficult. And oligopoly is very common. Monopolistic is very common. Duopoly, very difficult to have real life examples. They're just a theoretical concept. Monosony, maybe in some cases you have a product for which there is only one buyer at a given point of time. I mean, quite possible, but example I'm not able to give. Oligosony is possible. This is real life where you have few buyers in the market, not many, but few buyers in the marketplace. But these are different situations which in economic principles we understand how the market structures are dictated and governed at a point of time. So let's have a 7 minutes break and then we come back.
Today, participant strength has come down, it looks. In WhatsApp group also, uh, strength is not to the all members who registered are not been uh, entered into WhatsApp group. As per this, 42 members are participants, but hardly 25 or 30 members are in WhatsApp group.
Can we start, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Then there is small part mentioned in the syllabus about gross interest rate and net interest rate. Gross interest rate as charged by the lender consists of the following elements. First is anybody lending money to someone else would obviously require some return on his investment. So that is the net interest component. Then someone lending money to someone else also has a risk of not getting money back from the borrower. That is, there is always the risk. So there is cost of not getting money from the borrower. And in some cases, there could also be an admin cost, administration cost involved to recover the amount lent. So when you say gross interest rate, it will be sum total of these three components. One is the pure net interest. Second is the risk factor, risk premium, the cost of not getting money back from the borrower. And third is the administration cost, if any, involved to be able to recover the money. So if gross interest rate is 14%, let's take an example. 10% is interest cost, that is pure interest or net interest cost. 2% is the cost of risk allocated for not getting money back, and 2% is the element of admin cost. So total becomes 14%, but the net interest cost is 10%. That's how we distinguish between gross interest and net interest in similar concepts. Then we have profit and theories of profit. When a businessman operates a business, he obviously looks for profit. Profit is the income that refers to income that flows to investors. In accounting, profit implies excess of revenue over expenses. Tomorrow I have a session with you, same time in the afternoon, on bookkeeping and accountancy, where we are going to talk about how to maintain books of accounts for a business, what are the different concepts of accounting, and what is the process of accounting. In accounting, profit means difference between income and expenditure. In economic terms, profit means income that flows to the investor. Now, when you look at economic profit, what is meant by the term economic profit? Suppose someone wanted to start up a business after retirement. Luckily, he had a car garage which was not being used by him, which was attached with the flat where he was staying, and it was not being used by him because he did not, as of now, possess a car. Just an example. He said, let me start a small grocery store in that garage. He invests rupees 5 lakhs, and at the end of the year, he makes a profit of 2 lakhs through that business. How do we calculate 2 lakh? That is income minus expenditure, accounting value of profit that he earned during the year, rupees 2 lakh. But when we look at the concept of economic profit, what about the rent of the garage? If he did not use his own garage for his grocery purpose, probably he could have given his own garage on rent to someone else. He could have probably got 10,000 rupees rent per month from there. Or vice versa, if he did not have the garage of his own, he would have had to take a shop on rent basis outside and then do grocery business. He may probably have to pay 15,000 per month rent. Why not take into consideration the rent element also of garage on opportunity cost basis or of a shop on a real cost basis? When we look into the notional cost, this is called notional cost, or this is called implicit cost. When we consider rent of the garage, consider actually we are not getting any rent from the garage. It's my own garage which I'm using. But if I'm considering the concept of rent from the garage, it is the notional cost, implicit cost. So if it is 10,000 rupees rent is the notional cost of garage, then actually my profit is only 80,000 rupees, not 2 lakh. Because 10,000 rent I would have had to pay anywhere else if I had to run my grocery store. So 10,000 into 12, 1,20,000. 2 lakh minus 1,20,000, 80,000 is my economic profit. But accountant will say your profit is rupees 2 lakh. That's the difference between economic profit and accounting profit. Why businesses have profit? There are different theories why businesses have profit. First is innovation theory of profit. According to Professor Schumpeter, profits are reward for innovation. You do some new product, you create some new technology, new method of production, new source of raw material, something new, and then you reap premium profit, high profits. Therefore, in that sense, according to Professor Joseph Schumpeter, profit is the reward for innovation. More innovative you are, more profit you will have. Innovation is the key. New products, new design, new color, new use, all these things will imply more profit for a business. Second is uncertainty bearing theory. Business is uncertain. We live in a VUCA world where there is a whole lot of uncertainty, huge uncertainty in the marketplace. Therefore, someone who decides to get into this uncertain business situation, obviously he does so with an anticipation of earning some reward. So profit is nothing but reward for uncertainty bearing. You decide to bear uncertainty, and that's the reward that you get. You get profit from your business. Then there is rent theory of business. Profit is something like rent, like land, you can take on rent. Labor, you pay wages. Capital or money, you pay interest on that. Similarly, if someone organizes the whole business, works as an entrepreneur, basically he's lending his competence, he's lending his expertise, he's lending his time, he's lending his services, so he's getting return in the form of profit. Profit is nothing but kind of a rent that he's getting by virtue of his being an entrepreneur. Wages theory of profit. Similarly, if you have worked yourself in your business, you did not employ any support staff. That means you should also subtract from your accounting profit nominal reasonable amount of salary which you can attribute to your contribution to the business. You can't say my profit is 2 lakh rupees. You have spent a whole lot of time over there, 10 hours every day for full year. What happens to your services? If you had used this time to work for some other company, you would have got some salary from there. What about that salary to be accounted for here while calculating economic profit of your own business? So according to wage theory of profit, profit is nothing but wage of the entrepreneur. It's kind of a salary that entrepreneur is able to generate by using various resources that are at his disposal and by trying to work out and structure a business proposition for himself. And then risk theory of business. Every business is risky.
Sir, excuse me.
Yes, please.
Sir, sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
Entrepreneur's wage that you said we can take, is it counted as salary again?
It
Or
should
can
be counted as salary. I mean, there are two kinds of
drawings?
entrepreneurs. Someone may actually decide to draw salary from his own business. That's also possible. That's one model where someone who acts as an entrepreneur may also decide to take out salary as any other person is taking. He will also say, I will take 1 lakh rupees salary per month as my salary from the business. In addition to that, on top of that, if there is some profit at the end of the year, that's his additional amount that he earns. But he may decide to take a salary as any other employee of the company. The second
Okay.
model is where the entrepreneur might say, I will work, this is my business, I will not take any salary on a formal basis. I will only look for whatever profit I'm able to earn at the end of the year. That will be my reward, but I will not take any salary from my business. There are all kinds of people in the marketplace, sir. Some people like to take salary from the business. Some people don't like to take salary from the business. They have different perception about it.
Okay, sir.
No.
Yes,
If the owner doesn't take salary
yes, please.
at the end of March, the
Yes,
amount
please.
will be larger
Amount will be larger, sir, obviously.
and it will be taxed as per rules.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So to save the tax, I think one
So
must
it
take.
is
Am I right or
actually,
wrong?
you're very right, sir. From tax angle, it is advisable for the entrepreneur to charge salary for two reasons. One, that he is assured of a regular income for his family, for himself every month. Second, it also goes to reduce his tax liability going forward. But theoretically, two models are possible. Someone may decide to take salary, someone may decide not to take salary. Because, of course, end of the day, all businesses may not be profitable. I mean, we are talking here, giving an example here of a
Yeah, of
business
course,
which
of
is
course.
profitable.
COVID,
But
everyone
all
is putting
businesses
down.
may not turn out to be profitable.
Yes. But as
Yes,
per your experience, would you
yes,
like
sir.
to suggest to take salary of each and every
Yes,
partner
sir. Yes, sir.
and
That's
so
better.
that you can show in the accounts
Absolutely. That's
and it
better.
will result less tax? What I feel is that.
That's right. That's better. Factors of production. There are 5 factors of production. Some books say 4, some books say 5. Land, labor, capital, organization, enterprise. Some books club the last two together, organization and enterprise. Therefore, according to them, there are only 4 factors of production. Some books say 5 factors of production: land, labor, capital, organization, enterprise. These are 5 factors of production which make possible all kind of production of goods and services. And they get remunerated. Land gets remunerated by way of rent. Labor gets remunerated by way of wages and salary. Capital gets remunerated by way of interest. Organization and enterprise get remunerated by the amount of profit that an entrepreneur earns end of the year for that. All these notes will be circulated to you by today evening. I'll send it to the coordinator of the program. Coordinator will circulate these notes to you by today evening, so you can carefully go through them at your ease. Parallel economy, as we commonly understand in normal parlance, is economy which is functioning in an unorganized, unsanctioned, illegal manner, money which
Sir,
is not accounted for.
one doubt, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, are all these topics are necessary in our exam?
Sir, these are strictly as per the syllabus. The
Okay.
entire sequence of topics that are mentioned in my notes here is exactly as per the syllabus. You
Thank
will have to go through all these, and you can expect about 3 to 4 questions from this section.
yeah.
Maybe three,
The
maybe
topics are
four.
there. That's why I had a doubt.
Yeah,
Thank
maybe 3, maybe 4 questions from this section of microeconomics. Parallel economy means unaccounted money. I mean, black money that we normally use, black or white or gray, whatever be the color. But parallel economy means money which is generated through a parallel working of the ecosystem, which is not accounted for, which is unsanctioned, unorganized, unaccounted money, which is of no use for the country for that matter. People, I mean, there are newspaper reports, people have lots of money, they put it in Swiss bank. I mean, it's not being used for the country's development, neither for the benefit of the economy of the country for that matter. But then, I mean, that's been the practice. Some people say the GDP of India is 2.8 trillion US dollar. They say actually it is 4 trillion US dollar. The balance 2 trillion is black money. I mean, nobody exactly knows the real number because there is no accounting for that money. That's why it is called a black money, or that is why it is called illegal money. But it has a lot of harmful impacts on the economy. A part of the black money is kept in the form that contributes nothing or little to productive activities. Much, much of the black money is squandered away on ostentatious consumption of goods and services, norm appeal. I mean, show off kind of thing. You spend money on marriage, you spend money on automobiles, you spend money on watches, much money on ornaments, farmhouses, whatever. Most of the black money is spent on ostentatious consumption or snob appeal and is not used in productive activities of the country. And therefore, that's a great negative for the country as a whole. It also leads to unequal distribution of income within the country. People who have black money, they have lots of money because there is a money multiplier concept. If you have more money, you will make more money out of that. If you don't have money, the chances of making more money are also comparatively less because money makes money. There is a multiplier effect. Similarly, unreported segment of the economy is a big handicap in making correct analysis and formulation of right policies. What is good for the country? What kind of infrastructure? What kind of education? What kind of technology? All these policies are required to be made based upon the data collected by Niti Aayog. Instead of Planning Commission, now we have Niti Aayog in position. What is the full form of Niti, NITI? This is a question from examination point of view. Full form of NITI. National Institution for Transforming India. This is part of macroeconomics. In fact, I was supposed to take the part of macroeconomics yesterday. Since I was not feeling well, I recused myself from that session. Otherwise, macroeconomic topics is also handled by me normally in these courses. So the correct analysis and formulation of policies that depends upon the right data. And unless you have the right data about the country, most of the data being in black economy form, the
Sir,
country is
you mean NITA means Niti Aayog? Or is
yes, please. Yes, please, Niti Aayog, and the full form of NITI, National Institution for Transforming India.
for transforming? Okay. Thank you.
National
Hello.
Institution for Transforming India.
Okay.
Who is the chairperson of Niti Aayog? The question for an exam.
Pardon?
Who is the chairperson of Niti Aayog?
PM, Prime Minister.
PM, yeah. Ex officio. Every time, anytime, whosoever is the Prime Minister will be chairman of the Niti Aayog. Who is the deputy chairman? Dr. Rajiv Kumar, a well-known economist. Dr. Rajiv Kumar is deputy chairperson of Niti Aayog. Who is the CEO? Mr. Amitabh Kant, a bureaucrat. Mr. Amitabh Kant is the CEO of Niti Aayog.
Sir, will you please repeat Rajiv?
Dr. Rajiv Kumar is Deputy
Is the
Chairperson of Niti
deputy.
Aayog. Deputy Chairperson.
Okay, deputy chairperson. Okay.
And CEO, Mr. Amitabh Kant, the bureaucrat.
He is also doctor.
No, Mr. Amitabh Kant.
Amitabh Krant.
Kant.
This type of question will come in exam, sir.
These are the questions which have come in the past, sir, because we keep interacting with so many people who have undergone our course. And some people apply once, they apply twice, they apply thrice. So we keep in touch with all of them. So
Sir,
these are the
Amitabh
kind of
Kant is
questions.
an IAS officer.
IAS officer, he is the bureaucrat.
Amitabh Kant.
Amitabh Kant.
Okay, thank you.
Let me share some MCQs with you now. Some MCQs.
Sir, I have one question. Sir, I have
Yes,
one
please.
question. Can I ask?
Yes, please.
Sir,
Yes, please.
as you told that parallel economy is there, in newspaper we study that black market is of this much of GDP. How we calculate this
That is
amount
just an
of
estimation.
parallel
Sir.
economy?
That is just an estimation. Nobody can be sure about that number, sir. That's just an estimation. Because there is no
Okay,
accounting, there is no recording, so nobody is actually sure about that number. But people say that it is almost the same size as the organized economy. If we say organized economy is 2.8 trillion US dollar, they say similar is the size of black money, if not more than that. Or half of that is at least black money. These are all statements. I mean, nobody can be sure what is the exact numbers. Let us look at some of the multiple choice questions, the kind of questions which you can expect from this section. Demand for a commodity refers to, answer is C, amount of commodity demanded at a particular price and at a particular time. If the demand for a good is inelastic, an increase in price will cause total expenditure of consumers of the good too. When the demand for goods is inelastic, that means the demand will not change if the price goes up or goes down, such as that for salt, say for example. So if the price of salt goes up and you will not reduce the demand for salt, that means your total family expenditure will go up. So the answer is A. Horizontal demand curve parallel to x-axis implies that elasticity of demand is, we saw the demand curve, which was a downward sloping curve from left to right, where on x-axis you had quantity demanded, y-axis you had price of the product. The question here is, if the demand curve is horizontal line parallel to x-axis, that will indicate infinite elasticity of demand. That means at the same price, infinite quantity of the product will be purchased. An individual demand curve slopes downward to the right because of law of diminishing marginal utility, yes. Substitution effect of decrease in price, yes. Income effect of fall in price, yes. So the answer here is all of the above. What is meant by income elasticity of demand? Income elasticity of demand means, answer is question answer A, quantity demanded with respect to a given change in income of the consumer. That is called income elasticity of demand. Supply of goods refers to, option D, quantity of the product offered for sale at a particular price per unit of time is called supply of goods. Demand, supply, price. These are three critical components of the economic theory. What is the demand for the product? What is the supply of the product in the marketplace? And what is the price at which the intersection between demand and supply takes place is the high point of economic theory. The cost of one thing in terms of alternate given up is called opportunity cost. If you want to spend 1 hour every evening for an evening walk, you are giving up something in life. You could have done many other things during that 1 hour. So if you sacrifice one thing, if you do one thing and sacrifice many other things for that matter, then it is called a concept of opportunity cost. An economist's objection to monopoly rests on which of the following grounds? Why monopoly is said to be bad? Because there is transfer of income from consumers to monopolists. Monopolists will make a lot of profit because he is the only one available in the market. Consumers have no choice. They have to go to him. He will make a lot of profit. And there will be welfare loss as resources of the country will be misallocated under monopoly. So the correct answer here is both A and B. In which of the market structure the degree of control over price of its product by a firm very large? Monopoly. A monopolist will be able to control the price for the product depending upon his whims and fancies. Because he is the only one available in the market, he will control the price very, very great. Demand for factors of production is, what are the factors of production? Land, labor, capital, organization, enterprise. The demand for factors of production is a derived demand. Why do we require labor? Labor will help us produce certain products. Why do we need money? Money will help us get us various goods which fulfill our needs and wants. So the demand for factors of production is a derived demand. The branch of economic theory that deals with the problem of allocation of resources is what we are talking about here, microeconomics. Which of the following falls under microeconomics? National income is a macroeconomic concept. General price level prevailing in the country, macroeconomics. National saving and investment, macroeconomic. Factor pricing, how much salary to pay, how much interest to charge, what is the amount of profit. Factors of production, the pricing of various factors of production, it falls within the scope of microeconomics. In a free economy, when consumers increase their purchase of a good and the level of, then prices tend to rise. Option A is the answer. When the level of demand exceeds supply, then prices go up. When demand is less than supply, prices come down. So answer is option A. Analysis of the behavior of individual decision-making unit is dealt with in economics under, I told you there are 4 different types of economics: microeconomics, macroeconomics, positive economics, non-negative. Previous question. Yes.
Yes.
When consumers increase their purchase of goods and the level of demand exceeds supply, then prices tend to rise. If demand is more, supply of the product is less, availability of the product in the market is less, demand is more, then prices will be higher. So the answer is option A.
Demand exceeds.
Sir, in general, when demand exceeds, prices shoots up.
Anji?
Sir, in general, when demand increases and supply remain constant or deteriorate, then prices shoot up.
Yeah,
but
that's
here
right.
in this question,
here it says demand increases, exceeds. The word is exceeds. That demand is more, supply is less. So prices will increase. The word in between here is exceeds. So demand is more,
yes,
and supply is less, then prices will increase.
It does mean that supply is less, demand is more. It means
yes, yes, that's right. That means prices will be higher.
Yes.
Analysis of behavior of individual decision-making units is dealt with in microeconomics. Opportunity cost of any action is C, the highest valued alternative foregone. Highest value, there can be many alternatives, but the highest valued alternative foregone or the best alternative foregone is opportunity cost. An economic theory is a generalization that summarizes what we understand about economic choices. This is first pair of my notes that I showed to you. Therefore, the answer is option A. The fact that wants cannot be fully satisfied with available resources reflects the definition of
Scarcity.
Scarcity. We are talking about scarcity. Wants are more, needs are more, resources are less. So what does it mean? Scarcity. Scarcity of resources. So the answer is option A. Task of economic science, answer is option B, is to help us understand how the economic world works. That is the basic objective of economics. The study of economics helps us to understand how the economic world works. What is consumer surplus? Difference between what a consumer is willing to pay and what he actually pays. That umbrella example. He was willing to pay 150, but he got the umbrella for 130, consumer surplus 20 rupees. So answer is option C. According to law of diminishing marginal utility, every additional unit will give lesser satisfaction to the customer. So the answer is option C. A competitive firm's demand curve is determined by a company's demand curve. We are here talking about the demand curve of a company. That means the relationship between price and demand. It will depend upon market demand and market supply. What is the total demand for the product in the market? What is the total supply of the product in the market? These two forces will interact, and the point of intersection, price of the product, will be determined. People are forced to make choices because the wants are unlimited and resources are limited. So the answer is option C. People are forced to make choices because they have unlimited wants and they have limited resources. The phrase ceteris paribus means other relevant factors like consumer incomes must be held constant, or other things remaining the same. Other factors remaining the same. That is the meaning of the Latin expression ceteris paribus. Which of the following does not illustrate opportunity cost? They said the question is negative. Which of the following does not illustrate opportunity cost? If I study, I must give time for football. This is opportunity cost. If I buy computer, I must do without television. This is opportunity cost. If I spend more on clothes, I will spend less on food. This is opportunity cost. C is odd man out. So the option here is, correct option here is C. Normally a demand curve will have the shape downward sloping. Demand curve has a shape which is downward sloping. If quantity demanded is completely unresponsive to changes in price, price may be high, price may be low, but the quantity demanded doesn't change. What does that mean? That means the demand for a product is inelastic. People don't bother. People don't change the demand. Even if the price goes up very high or even if the price goes very low, because price is not a determinant in respect of certain products. The demand for such products is called inelastic demand. Elasticity of demand is very low. It shows that commodity is a necessity. Necessity as well. Little importance in total budget. You spend very little more salt. In the overall family budget, there's hardly any proportion that you spend on salt or tea or things like that. So even if the price becomes very high, you don't cut back on the consumption and you keep using the same commodity, same quantity as before. Therefore, answer is option D, A and C both. What are the causes of shift in demand? Following are the causes of shift in demand, except the one. Shift in demand. I showed you a slide. Shift in quantity demanded or shift in demand. Shift in quantity demanded happens because of the impact of price change. Shift in demand happens because of any factor other than price change. So the odd man out here is B, change in price has to be taken out. All the other three factors, they impact and create shift in demand. When demand elastic is perfectly inelastic, an increase in price will result in increase in total revenue. Demand is inelastic, perfectly inelastic. People will continue to buy at whatever price the product is being sold in the market. So therefore, the revenue of the businessman will increase if the price goes up. Because even if the price goes up, people will not cut back on the demand because the demand for the product is perfectly inelastic. Demand is a function of price. So option A is the answer. What does price elasticity of demand measure? Price elasticity of demand measures the responsiveness of demand to price changes. So the answer is option C. If price changes by 1% and supply changes by 2%, that means supply is elastic, more than proportionately elastic. Actually, if you want to further supplement this statement, probably I can say that the supply is more than proportionately elastic.
Sir, if it is same 1%, what you
Then
call it?
unit elasticity. And if it is less 0.5%, then less than proportionally elastic.
Inelastic, sir, then?
Less than proportional.
Inelastic weight, what is the situation when it will become inelastic?
It will become inelastic when the product is a necessity. When consumers cannot do without that product, whatever be the price, and the product does not have much of an impact on the family budget, in that case, the product will have an inelastic demand.
So
Inelastic demand means people will not change their demand, whatever be the price, because they have to buy it. That's an essential commodity kind of thing. They have to buy it, whatever be the price, they will continue to buy the same commodity.
So it's not linked with price and supply.
No, it is not.
Inelastic means.
No, yeah, that's right. In case of an inferior good, income elasticity of good is negative. If income goes up, people will shift from inferior goods to better quality products. Therefore, the relationship between inferior goods demand and income is negative. When income goes up, people will go for better products and they will no longer use inferior products. An indifference curve slopes down towards right since more of one commodity and less of another result in same satisfaction. 2 mangoes, 4 banana, 1 mango, 6 banana, each combination will provide same level of satisfaction. That's the basic concept behind indifference curve. So the answer here is option A, same satisfaction. Under which of the following forms of market structure does the firm have no control over the price of its product? Perfect competition. Where there are large number of buyers and sellers, no one single manufacturer, no one single company can have control over the price of its product. So a situation where a firm does not have any control over the price of its product is characterized by perfect competition. So the answer is option D. Which form of market structure is characterized by interdependence in decision making as between different competing firms? Oligopoly, where there are few firms. Oligo means few firms. Each one of the company is in direct touch with the other companies, and therefore they form some kind of a cartel, and then they decide what kind of prices to charge in the marketplace. And there's a lot of interdependence in decision making when the market situation is characterized by oligopoly. So these are some of the sample multiple choice questions, the kind of questions that you can expect in the exam. This is complete syllabus of microeconomics section. Nothing is missed out. You just refer to my notes and some of these 30, 35, 40 questions. I think that should be enough. This particular section is concerned. You can expect at least 3, if not 4 questions from this particular section. Minimum 3 can also be 4.
You are sending this MCQ also now with this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This will also be circulated.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I look forward to joining you tomorrow again for a session at the same time on bookkeeping.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. And thanks to all the participants.